Welcome back to another episode of Letting Them Lead. It's been a minute, but we're back and on summer break, so cheers.
Cheers.
I didn't even say what we're going to talk about this week.
Oops.
Because I'm in full improviser mode, but we're talking about teaching empathy to little
Young
ones.
children.
Young children.
Little guys.
My brain is definitely on summer break, but
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
have empathy for you.
thank you. I needed that.
And we all need people to be empathetic toward us. But how do you teach little ones? Because it's always a very narcissistic world, right? I mean, they start that way. It's
They're in a narcissistic
yes,
stage.
as is normal. And then it's not boom, you're 5 and you're expected to function in kinder or whatever. You have to learn those things little by little. Obviously, we know it starts in the
Yeah.
But so if you're at home and you're raising kids and you don't want to crush them. And I think when I was having children, the big thing was you don't say no. Never say no. And I realized I thought as I was going through, that's not okay either. There has to be a balance. They have to understand. You say no when it's crossing the street or getting near the street.
Yeah.
And you're quick to say it. But it's also important for them to understand that some things aren't okay with other people.
And also that some things aren't okay with them.
Right. If you're teaching them to say no to you, or I mean you know what I mean?
If you're teaching them to accept a no, then
They get to say
They
it.
get to say it.
Exactly.
100%.
And how else do you learn as a young child unless you can internalize it for yourself first?
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
they know when they're little, that's the first thing they do, it's mine. It's mine.
Yeah.
You've got a little kid with a bigger sibling and all of a sudden the bigger sibling's like, whoa, 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 whoa. That was always mine. And we're teaching these kids, well, they're little. They don't get it yet.
Right.
But I always just tell you guys, when they're old enough to understand it, they will learn.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I
And
made
what do we tell the kids? Like, so in preschool, some of these kids are in preschool for 2 years, some only 1. But you have your younger kids at the beginning of the year, but then you have your kids that are either returning or they're like later 3s, early 4-year-olds. And when a new child that comes into the class takes a toy, you get the look from the other kid like,
Say what?
like, wait, but I know I'm not supposed to like take it back from them. Like I know that boundary, but they don't know. So like, what do I do? And what do we tell them? Oh, they're learning, right? Like we say that so much in early childhood education because
Now,
it's true.
question. So in that same scenario, do you move in? I can already see what I do. I practically slide into first. Like I get there really fast.
Sure.
Because I want to make sure that I'm helping both sides of this panel understand you don't get to just take it from anybody.
Right.
And I want the other side to see how I'm modeling that. And so that's how I handle that. And it usually fixes it real quick.
Well,
because
if you can slide into first, but we don't always
Right.
get there. And when you're in a preschool class, which is, especially
I get it.
You get them when they haven't had any school, and for the most part, but you also get the kids that have had a year of preschool, and I'm in that other scope of it where, no, these kids maybe have had some experience in daycare. You'll literally find like 5 mini fires happening all at once at the beginning of the day. Like I can just picture the beginning of some of my Tuesdays, and I'm like, whoo, okay, you took that toy, I don't know what to do. So you have to go back retrospectively, which is hard when they're this little. Like, to be like, well, you just took his toy. That wasn't,
So you use it in a story.
So exactly. So then
Sing songs.
now you have a beautiful circle time lesson where you can talk about.
And that's the lesson. You got to skip your regular plan.
Yeah.
I don't care what the academic curriculum says.
Or start it off, right? Start it off with
Figure
using
it in
your
first and foremost.
Use your puppets. I think then you talk about why we say no. And you can say, no, that was my turn. No, that's my toy. And just talk about the feelings aspect of it. When we take a toy from a friend, makes us feel this way. You can have those kids that understand the feelings kind of be a part of that lesson. I think there's a lot that you can do when you seize those opportunities for teaching.
Yeah, and like you said, if there's 5 to put out, then reel it in and do it as soon as you can in a circle time.
As soon as
that
you can.
very next circle time.
Yeah, don't be like, okay, well on Friday we'll talk about it. For kids, that's going to be so meaningless. It's already meaningless. It already has lost a lot of meaning.
You gotta get it right away.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I do to help circumvent that is, I know coming in to the program, I'm ready to start spotting behaviors. And that's critical. And every day I do this because every day we don't know where a child is coming from. We don't know if they had a really tough morning at home with an older sibling.
Yep.
And they're going to come to school and reenact that whole scenario that their older sibling and they had. Mm-hmm. And so every day I'm spotting behavior, and that's when I bring in my assistant and say, this is what I see happening, and this is where I need you to be when I'm doing such and such, because I want to be able to slide into first.
Because there are so many moments, but also the just inherent need to be teaching these social emotional skills that are so big and foundational. It is just looking at the number of adults that can be there to support that need is very important.
The ratio has dropped. Thank goodness.
And let's just continue to manifest, more adults in the classroom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, I know there's a lot that goes into that one, but
right.
It's important because these kids, like I remember preschool, and being in a classroom with, it was awesome. Like, I loved preschool. I remember
getting
there.
Because you went to the best one ever.
I know. Well, and it's just, you remember, like, the kids remember, and there's foundational things that they're learning. I remember getting in trouble in preschool. I remember not getting in trouble. Like, I remember
What did trouble look like that many years ago?
Ooh, there were timeouts. We don't really do timeouts anymore. I remember, I didn't get in trouble a lot, but I don't know. I mean,
those are just reserved. I worked then in those years in that level, and I'm wondering, because I don't remember necessarily, unless I'm just updating myself, because you do what you learn, right?
Yeah.
But I more or less, I feel like I've always talked about choices, and if that's going to be your choice, I'm going to need you to take. Or if you really can't handle your space and other children are going to get hurt, I cannot let you be there. And give them a chance to fix it really quickly. I never first
It very much depends too, like on the class, like the teacher,
because you weren't getting time out when you were.
Not.
I suppose I can.
I probably remember more the verbiage time out for other kids.
Maybe.
I don't think
and that's how we
I probably did.
Yeah.
I probably did get put in time out. I remember something with a bike. Like I took somebody's, it was their turn in line and I didn't know. Right. Whatever. Like I do remember having to wait in a separate spot. Like there was a timeout spot.
Yeah.
And now we have we've reframed that.
We've learned
to say
studying.
Yeah. Instead of like, oh, you did this, your consequence is sitting out. It's like, oh, like we like to slide into first. There's a break area that is supportive, like that supports kids' sensory needs or whatever. So it's like, do you need a break right now? That's an option. Do you need to go run around in circles right now because your body just can't take it?
Right, and that came after you're saying that to them after you've slid into first, after you've not acknowledged both sides of the feelings, because there's A and B, right?
Yeah.
And B is the one, committing something dangerous, most likely. I over the whole course of this year, I probably had someone have to sit out no more than 3 times. Not the same kid either.
Yeah.
Just, I really need you to think about this danger.
Yeah.
Especially later, if they've had all the other kinds of chances where, do you need to go and run or whatever? Like,
sure.
But
sometimes, again, like in my world, we don't really get to slide in. Tell them to be honest. I don't slide into first the majority of the time. The majority of the time is happening after, and then you learn like, okay, how do I need to be here next time?
Yeah.
But when those things do happen, again, it's not like, oh, you took the bike, you're in timeout. It's like, oh, you didn't wait your turn. We need to practice waiting our turn. So usually what happens is we then have a moment to practice. So like the kid comes back with the bike, and instead of taking him to that separate space, it's let's try that again. Look, we're waiting in line, and you wait with them. You are part of it. You're co-regulating with them.
And you stand there and wait for them to say, well, our school, if you're standing there, the other child knows they have to stop.
Right, same. Right? I think that's kind of general. Like, those are the bike rules in our district.
I suppose. But anyway, I will make sure that let's say the other kid didn't stop, and that's what caused the problem.
Well, yeah.
So then I make sure I give the child the sentence, when I'm standing at the stop sign, you need to stop.
Yeah,
and then I give the other child some other word, like I will stop when I see you at the stop sign. Something affirmative. Yeah. And just let them know I'm on both your side.
Sure.
You both have a need, and you're both little learners.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I think when we go back to, teaching empathy, it really starts with showing them that we have empathy for their needs.
Both sides of the story. And I'm glad you brought that back in, because that's the whole point of this whole conversation.
Yeah, but I think
that's how you teach it.
Yeah, exactly. I think all of this kind of just encompasses that.
And us being empathetic to the fact that they come in every day from a home that we have no clue what's gone on.
Exactly.
And that's fair, right? And that's how we're teaching empathy. And it's so important, because we have to remember it's not about our needs as a teacher. It's just not. We have to find the joy in seeing the progress of those empathetic behaviors coming to fruition. And that's I have the chills, because really, if I reflect, that's my favorite part of my life, is knowing that I've helped a child process all of those thoughts.
Yeah.
And when I go visit other schools, which I tend to do, I see it either happening or not. And that's why we do this podcast on my account, because I want to try to figure out how can I help that start happening more.
Yeah. Yeah, because in all honesty, when you do take that step back to focusing on why you're doing it, focusing on the empathy and letting them lead and everything like that is for them. It's if you are in the job of being an early childhood educator because you want to be the master of your domain and have this perfectly organized day with everything going
any level
perfectly.
Of teaching.
Really any level, but I think just,
it's not happening.
Good luck.
It shouldn't.
And I have
You're going to be frustrated
you,
all day long.
Yeah.
Every day, and you're not going to like your job.
It's only going to make your job harder. I think, the first step is who are we doing this for? We're doing it for the kids. We're doing it for their development and their foundation as little learners. Mm-hmm. But if you do take that step back, you actually are making your life easier.
You know how we talk about backward planning?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you say, well, what do I really want these humans to be able to do as a human being? And if you really thought, I'd like them to be empathetic human beings when they're 40, and so if you realize that what you're doing in those hours, those as a parent, as a teacher, if you're teaching them that, how does it feel when you sit and somebody's like, this is not how I wanted my day. I did not want to have this conversation with this person. But what if you look at this person and think, they must be going through something that I'm not aware. They must be treating me that way because something that's going on with them. Yeah. And just have that empathy. Then you're not let down.
Yeah.
And not that it's easy. I don't find it very easy as an adult.
It's not easy, but I think it's really a basic kind of thing, and I know we've talked about this before. I've brought up the whole Untethered Soul Michael Singer aspect, but my favorite and probably most helpful lesson from reading that book as an educator and as a human has been the idea of keeping my heart open. And it just kind of goes with this in the sense of yeah, when you are in those situations where you feel yourself closing off because you're irritated or because somebody else's energy is frustrating you, whether it be a little kid and their you know, whatever moment is happening with them, whatever behavior, whatever they're saying, whatever, or when you're with an adult and whatever energy is being brought in, like it just goes down to not taking it personally and not letting it hit you, and just keeping your heart open and realizing they have their stuff. And whatever is happening to them and affecting them is theirs.
Right.
It doesn't have to be mine.
But that goes so far as like, if you have a more intimate relationship with somebody, that's easy when it's work people for the most part. But when you stop and think, well, what kind of a relationship do I want from this person? And then you can let it go, but then if you let it go, your relationship won't build.
Well,
because both sides have to be acknowledged.
And that's what I was going to say. Both sides are a part of that, though. And I think that's different when you have a relationship. But like the thing is let's say we use your example of having a conversation with a person, just in that moment, a peer, but anybody, like you don't know, like, okay, you came over today. I don't know what happened at your house this morning. I don't know what kind of conversations you had with your husband that maybe made you feel a certain way. So you come into my house, and if you're, just upset about something, it's my choice to just be open-minded and let you be how you're being without it affecting me, without saying, why are you being this way? Why are you, you know what I mean?
Or you could be I'm kind of visualizing it in kids, and you could also say, gosh, I'm noticing you're not your happy self. What happened? And that's what we do with kids. Is there something going on?
Or you just ask them basics, right? How are you feeling?
Yeah, with I just put my poster up yesterday. All my how you feeling, And
I think that's a great, they come in and something I used to do before COVID, because that just made me forget all the things I did pre-COVID as a speech pathologist, the little ones. They would come into my room and they would get to choose how they wanted to be greeted. But I also had the feelings poster. So we'd choose our greeting and then choose how we felt, and they would get to slide. It was a little magnet. I don't know what happened to that. I need to find it. But they would slide the magnet to the face over, and it would frame the face.
Or they don't even know how they're feeling. So you bring them to the poster and you say, gosh, this is kind of what your face is looking at like right now. And did something happen? It's a good conversation, because you don't want to feed them information that's not even there.
Right.
Either. So you have to be kind of careful.
Well, that's why I like kind of letting them come in and decide.
Yeah.
Make that choice. And if they say, I don't know, you say, okay, well, when you figure it out, let me know. Like, instead of feeding, instead of saying, well, your face looks like this. No, just let them go.
Right. I mean, if you're actually working with a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's when I wouldn't say, what does your face look like? Look in the mirror. What's wrong with you? No, it's not like that.
No, I know. But I think there's just so many different ways we can have those resources readily available to talk. Yeah. Because as kids, we can't sit there and be like, well, just be open-minded.
And that's a whole circle time in itself. Because I would go over to my feelings poster, and I keep it where they can always see it, where we can all see it. And wow, I'm just this today. And this is like beginning of the year stuff, because then they know that interactive bulletin board piece is there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they might need to come over if you have a nonverbal child. They might walk you over and point to whatever, Yeah. And that is also a way of teaching empathy, because they already know you get to have a feeling. Yeah. You get to from the get-go.
You get to.
Yeah.
We all do.
Yeah.
And you get to learn that your feelings don't last.
They matter.
One, they matter, but two, they don't last. It's okay if they change. And I think that going back to having that open, just heart response to everything on the receiver end, remember, these kids' feelings matter, but they're not going to last. So you could get frustrated in the moment because a child is having a breakdown over something as the adult, but
But if they go unnoticed and not resolved, but just unidentified and not considered outwardly as inwardly, they're not going to feel safe, and those behaviors aren't going to change.
I'm not talking about keeping an open heart and letting it go and not noticing it. I'm talking about how you react in that moment is very much creating that environment of safety and letting them have a place where they can safely learn these things and make those decisions that help them, move past those feelings. So it's a funny balance because you can sit here and say, let it go, be open. And that to some might mean like nothing matters, I guess.
Yeah, and sometimes those more esoterical type readings lean that way. But if you're not really truly reflective and looking at, both sides of something and asking yourself, because like I was listening to something, I don't even know what it was, and it was just like, move away from the situation then. Okay.
Sometimes it works.
It's great. You can do that, but then I go back to what kind of relationship do you want these two children to have?
Right.
You're not force feeding a friendship, but you want them to practice that empathy.
Yeah.
On the spot, all day long.
Yeah.
With everybody, and they'll move and they'll have this innate ability before they're in kinder, for sure.
Yeah.
So I can't, this is the best part of working in early childhood in the education, regular school system, public school, because I cannot wait to visit and make observations, because I will be spending a lot of my time my prep time doing that.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm so looking forward to that because I'm journaling that, and I know where they've been in the school. Now, I know they didn't take everything that I had and use it at home or whatever, but some of the things, hopefully. So I'm just really super curious because the whole dynamic is going to change.
Yeah. It'll only help you be a better early childhood educator and make sure these foundational skills are more embedded in what you're doing every day. And it makes it easier. And it makes it easier on the kids. And it makes it easier on you.
If the kids are feeling easy, it's going to be fun.
No. And that's the whole point. And bringing it back, like, better be fun.
It's got to be fun. It doesn't mean that it's not hard work. It is, and it's hard for them sometimes to figure it out.
Yeah, but there's so many ways to make it fun. So I think we're coming up on our 30-minute mark.
Okay.
Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes, and let us know what you'd like to hear about next.
It's a good show.
Good chat. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.